for the very last play.
And that was an accident.
Yeah, because Tompkins went for kicking the ball out, and it was sort of charged down, which deflected the ball into Mickey Mack's play. He did a little bit of an outside of the foot curve.
It was a lovely through ball from Michael McElroy, wasn't it?
Sort of to beat one man, and then Tompkins kicked it on for himself as well, and then
finished it well.
Very good play.
Gathered and rolled. Well done.
Yeah, the Wigan's second try, Liam Farrell's try. Liam Farrell wasn't offside at all. I think there was a man potentially alongside / in front of the kicker Sam Powell, but I think Sam Powell managed to... There was no defender waiting for the ball. It was a grubber kick behind everyone, and I think Sam Powell managed to put that man onside in any case after that point. So I'm not sure... I don't know if there was as big a question mark over that as maybe was mentioned. The other thing Brian Davies touched on there about beneficial decision in return, people have read about it, people might have seen it. There was an Akihifo sort of getting in the way of Sam Tompkins for a quick restart in the second, early doors-ish in the second half. Now, I'm not entirely convinced that Akihifo knew what he was doing. In which case, I think it could have just been a penalty to Wigan. But in the end, the referee gave nothing to Wigan and let it go on. But I wouldn't have been shocked to see a sin bin there, because it could have been definitely viewed as delaying a quick restart when the Huddersfield... Certainly none of their forwards were in play for defending the next set. So it was a bit of a shocker there, but I'm not convinced he knew exactly what he was doing. There's an element of him just happening to be in the way, maybe. I don't know.
Fair enough.
But he's a big man to get around. But yeah, Wigan were the better team in the game. I feel Wigan's goal line defence in the second half showed up to a level that we haven't seen always this season, and certainly to a level... The defence was at a level that we didn't see the week before against Leeds Rhinos. So that's definitely an uptick. Wet weather conditions meant distribution from dummy half was never going to be sparkling from either side, but it was pretty woeful from both sides. So the halfbacks weren't getting the ball with enough time and space times, because balls were being picked up before passed rather than passed off the floor, or just kind of slow, niggly shit, passes behind people from dummy half and stuff all throughout the game. Both Wigan hookers made up for it in defence, whereas Cruz Leeming did what he does all year, giving penalties away in defence. That was kind of where it fell down for Huddersfield for me. They were messy around the ruck. They were very messy around the ruck. They were probably lucky to not have a player sent to the... I think I might have put this in the stats lineup. Probably lucky to avoid any team warnings, because there was a couple of times where they had 3 or 4 penalties on a run. All penalties, all clear as day penalties. And one time there was a scrum given when actually it should have been an offside, and that came in the middle of a run of successive penalties.
Okay.
So actually,
that probably saved them.
They could have been looking at team warnings and the like. So that was an issue for them. Wigan probably played the ball a bit faster, even though they couldn't do much with it. Last tackle plays for Wigan were still a big issue as well, and errors from the wingers. I mean, particularly Joe Burgess gave up 2 tries with poor handling, and missed out on 2 tries through poor handling, and gave up a try and a couple of other opportunities through mishandling at the defensive end of the field as well. Not his greatest night in Cherry and White. I'm not sure what that does for him in terms of looking forward, because we've got one game before the Challenge Cup final. Do you drop him for that game? But then you're going to be bringing him back in, you'd have to feel. So it leaves you with a potential dilemma then, whereas if you keep going... I mean, Tom Davies made a couple of uncharacteristic kind of drops. One of them he got away with because it went behind him and stuff, but he was still, putting in the work in the shift. Liam Farrell was exceptional this week, bounced back massively from the poor week before in his return against Leeds, and Sam Tompkins was the best player on the pitch for Huddersfield, other than the odd damaging Akihifo run. And Gaskell occasionally showing a bit of an impetus, but Wigan always just clinging on to his runs. There wasn't much on offer at all from the Giants in this one, and we'd seen a lot of good attacking interplay and link up with Gaskell and Rankin offering great support running to Brough in the last 2 or 3 games. That wasn't evident, but Wigan were shutting it down. That's why it wasn't evident, I think.
There you go, fantastic. We've summed that up very nicely. What did the stats tell us?
Well, despite losing the error count 18-12 in another game played in poor conditions, and coming out narrowly on the wrong side of the all-around low tackle bus break and offload numbers, Wigan were able to make 128 more metres at 0.6 metres per carry better average gain. For the only numbers that really support the fact that they were the better side in this game, Huddersfield's biggest failing was discipline, losing the penalty count 13-7, and probably lucky to have avoided any team warnings in the process. given that number.
Very good. So, individually then?
Well, Liam Farrell with a try, 41 tackles, 14 marker tackles, no missed tackles. They're Liam Farrell numbers for you.
Mm-hmm.
He was close to 100 metres, but not quite there. Anthony Gelling a try in 116 metres. Joe Burgess, despite all his drops, 118 metres. Tom Davies, 128 metres. For Huddersfield, the only people to speak of are the wingers, so kick return yardage, really. Jermaine McGilvery a try, jumping on a Burgess error, and 106 metres. Darnell McIntosh 108 metres, so not a lot to call up for the Giants there, sadly, for them.
There you go. So what does that mean for the standings in the Super 8s then?
Well, as we've already touched on, with only 5 games left, Cass are 10 points clear at the top again, and along with their sizeable points difference advantage, their first ever league leaders title is all but confirmed. Both Leeds in second on 32 and Hull in third on 31 points.
Yeah.
Are closing in on semi-final spots. Wakefield are back into the top 4 on 28, taking over from Saints, who are now 5th on 27. Salford have 26, Wigan have 25, and Huddersfield fall back to 8th on 23.
There you go.
Do you feel Huddersfield are out of...
I think Huddersfield are gone. I think you lot have another couple of weeks grace, but I think once the Challenge Cup's out of the way, depending how that goes, you might see a Wigan side falter. So I don't think Wigan will make the semis this time round, but I think you might still get some silverware out of the season.
Oh, we'll see.
So we'll see how we do. Right, that is the Super 8's taken care of. Let's take a look back now at round 2 of the qualifiers. Okay, so second half of the match review portion of the show takes us into round 2 of the qualifiers, and we'll start at the Halliwell Jones, where Warrington were 52 points to 24 winners over the Catalan Dragons in front of 8,595, refereed by one Robert Hicks.
Yeah, we start the fan reviews with Tyler Cassfan, who said 50 points will do a lot for Wire's confidence going forward, but their defence still needs fixing up. For Catalans, McNamara is doing no better than Fraser New was, but it's always easier to change the coach than all the players who don't give a toss most of the time.
There you go. Malcolm Mateo says, travel calmer when you've got a private jet and an airport next door. Don't take a coach to El Prat during a strike. It won't go well.
Wire Joe said, still not quite sure if we were half decent today or if Catalans are just really, really bad. That being said, our attack looks as slick as it has all season in the first half, and SBW really put in a shift on his 400th appearance.
Super Benny Westwood.
Yeah.
Not Sonny Bill Williams.
Had a bit of a wobble early in the second half, but then we decided to forget just how shit we are for a bit and put on some decent points. Dizzying times at the top of the league.
Asterisk. Lee Whitnall says this game felt like a pre-season friendly. Most of the crowd came dressed as blue and yellow seats, and the players put on a fine display of park quality rugby. Tierney scoring a length of the field try untouched, while every other player on the pitch had a fight on the touchline, was one of the many low quality moments. Positives were the performances of Hickey and Patton, being there for Westwood's 400th and the 2 points. Obs.
Alan Walker says all drug inspectors are cunts.
There you go. So it's not strictly a game review, Al. I'll give you that.
I mentioned the callback, didn't I?
Yeah.
Because a bit more details come out about, before we get to the game,
it?
a bit more details come out about the GIGO scenario, and apparently the French anti-doping authorities, who have confirmed that he's banned from anything that comes under their banner, so it's not like Union can just go and pull him and play for them, like Alan seems to be saying is the underlying end game here. But yeah, saying that he made a bit of a joke that he'd taken cocaine the night before, so did one of the testers want to give the sample instead of him or something, and it didn't go down very well.
For the love of God.
Now, as we know, he passed the sample, as he passed all his other tests since.
Yeah.
So obviously he's just
made a stupid joke, but now I think he's going, well, I think that, look, that's a silly thing to say.
But that makes a 2-year ban more ridiculous.
Of course it does, exactly. But it's not the sort of thing that constitutes a 2-year ban.
Because if it's been physically intimidating and that sort of thing, that would be worse for me than being poor at jokes.
Yeah. Ill-timed humour. But French comedy's
that saga will run on and on and
French comedy's an oxymoron in and of itself, isn't it?
It's a crazy situation there. But anyway, on to the game.
Let's get back to how shit these two teams are. Look, Warrington put 52 points on here, so attacking wise, you cannot argue with them. And they're coming from all over the park. Ratchford got 2, Atkins got 2, Lynham got 2, Matty Russell, Patton and Hickey. So there's a lot of backline scoring going on, which is great to see. If you're a Warrington fan, Patton slotted 8 goals, so he only missed 1.
Sounds like he had a cracking game actually, Deck Patton. Involved in most stuff, and just like towards the back end of last season, stepping up and being the best player in the team. Yeah. And if he's doing that again, I wonder what this off-season will hold in terms of how will Tony Smith manage to fall out with him and not start him at the start of next year.
Well, you were allowing me to wax lyrical about Warrington, but what you didn't let me do was say but. Because whilst all that was happening, it was against Catalan Dragons, who, to be honest, are one of the poorest attitudes of a rugby league side I've seen in recent years. And I don't lay the blame at the door of Steve McNamara, because as Tyler Castan said, you can't sack all the players, it's much easier to get rid of the coach. But this time next year, or this time halfway through next season, that needs to have markedly changed. Otherwise, the Steve McNamara appointment will have been proven to have been a false door, foolish appointment.
You look at the side, and they mixed it up a little bit by putting Inu on the wing and dropping Fuad Yaha to the bench. Right. Garcia in the centre, but that added size, but it probably added an element of immobility and poor maybe defensive reads or something. I don't know, because obviously a lot of scores were scored in and around those guys. With what was it? Atkins with 2, Lynham with 2, and Patton with 2. Did you say?
Ratchford, Atkins, and Lynham all got a brace.
Yeah. So there you go, really.
Matty Russell on the other wing, Deck Patton from the halves, and Peter Ricky from the centre. So everyone in the back line scores.
Yep. Other than Kevin Brown.
Oh, of course. Sorry, everyone in the 3/4.
But then again, still, yeah. And Ben Westwood, I guess we'll touch on him. A few of the fan reviews did. 400th appearance for Warrington. So that sort of bypasses his Wakefield career for a couple of seasons in the Super League before that. Yeah. So you've got to say, really impressive long career, despite grand final thuggery and whatever else.
Oh, come on! Look, he's had an exceptional career.
Yeah, he has. No, exactly.
He's an England international
and performed very well at the top stage, better than I expected him to. So that's why I think I'm saying very well, because I never expected him to really hit it.
Yeah.
At the stage where he still kept getting picked as well by McNamara, I thought he was kind of done at that level, and he still performed pretty well when he was selected, and you got to get behind a player who's like that.
Of course you can, and the fact that he's managed to make 400 appearances for Warrington, having played at another club as well, tells you that he's a pro who's looked after himself too.
Yes.
He's obviously not one of these guys that goes out and doesn't take care, because you don't make that number of appearances without having a consistent amount of self-discipline for a long period of time in your life, so that's to be applauded as well.
So it's a round of applause all around for Benny Westwood and for Warrington's attack in this one.
Who stood out for us then?
Tom Lynham, 2 tries, 1 try assist, 176 metres, 3 clean breaks. Peter Hickey, 1 try assist, 191 metres, 4 successful offloads. Deck Patton, 1 try, 3 try assists. For Catalan, Chris Inu, 2 tries, 10 tackle balls, 129 metres, 3 clean breaks, so he did good in attack from the wing. Lewis Tierney, 1 try, 139 metres, and Paul Ayton, 45 tackles.
There you go. Okay, Saturday afternoon, Leeds Centurion is defeated at home, 16 points to 20 by Championship leaders Hull KR in front of 5,335, refereed by Jack Smith.
Tyler Castan says, great result for Hull KR. You need a Super League scalp if you're going to get promoted, and now they're well on course to get back up. I still think Lee will do well enough to stay up.
I agree. Sarah McKenzie says, a compelling argument for the middle eights, or a reason to relegate them both. It was a decent spectacle, but you have to question the legality of Scruton throwing the ball through his legs while still on the floor. Ball to Lunt, and they win. Smith put in Rovers on a team warning with 8 seconds to go, wastes 2 of them and is pointless.
We'll come back to those 2 points, I think. Paul Ludo Lewis said, having been on my holes, this is the one game I have actually seen. Only 2 real points to make. 1, should Hull KR not have been given an 8-point try for the tackle in the air while scoring one of their tries? And 2, fans in scrum caps. It's a fuck no from me.
Yeah, I don't get that, unless it was a kid who'd been playing at half time.
It was a thing, they were giving them away.
Oh, were they?
At the club shop, when you went in to buy tickets from the club shop, you were getting these sort of flimsy scrum cap affairs, so that's why all the fans had them on.
I have to admit to have only seen the tries on this one.
Well, I forgot to record the game, so I've only watched the abbreviated highlights of it too. So I didn't watch probably what I guess was 7 hours of replay of Nick Scruton not quite getting up to play the ball.
I suspect that there's probably a legitimate point to be made there, but I still feel like Hull KR were value for the win. I feel like it was a fair result. It
was a topsy-turvy thing. That
it was. The league changed hands a couple of times, didn't it?
Interesting and sort of enjoyable thing to see, like that there was a sort of